tap into your most original thinking, organize your ideas, and create the opportunities to launch your creative work. Unlocking your world of creativity with best-selling author and brand innovator, Mark Stinson.
Well, welcome back, friends, to our podcast, Unlocking Your World of Creativity. And we travel around the world. I mean, we've punched our creative passport in places like Zurich and Portugal and Canada in recent episodes. And now we're going to Central Ohio. We're going to the Midwest and the center of the U.S. to find musical inspiration for my guest today, the duo Eleyet McConnell. And it's Angie and Chris. You guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And, you know, we often try to put music, especially songwriting and bands, you know, in a bucket, in a category. And are you country? Are you rock? Are you blues? Are you R&B? You're really trying to cross those genres and just write songs that are from the heart. But how has that experience been for you?
For me, I would say neither of us have ever sat down and said, we're writing a country tune today, or we're writing a rock and roll ballad, whatever. We just don't do that. I think we've been influenced by so many different genres of music in both of our lifetimes. When we write a song, it's usually about something that's happened to one or both of us, or someone very close to us, and it just evolves from there. And I think all of those influences just come out in the song. So that's
we do a lot of noodling, you know. I'll come up with a riff a lot of times, and then sometimes I'll help her on the melody on that, and then it just kind of blooms from there. And we know we don't try to, you know, there's no particular way to write a song. People should just know that. You know, these people that say you got to have a chorus, a verse, a bridge, you know, no.
Why?
You can do three notes and do the whole song on three notes,
if
chorus and all. It's just what you feel. So we just let it grow. We know it's a child, and it's going to evolve into what it's going to be. Sometimes it's a little rambunctious, you know, but we don't know how it's going to end, especially when we start bringing different musicians into the studio, and we allow them creative freedom to put what they want to do to a song.
Yes.
So it changes.
Well, and when I hear the music, that really comes through. And Chris, you're talking about, you know, influences. I read here that you started playing the bass at age of 10. You know, some of your influences, Doobie Brothers, America, Bread. And then you juxtapose Bread with Pink Floyd. I've never seen those two listed maybe that close together.
Well, you know,
we have multiple personality disorder.
It was kind of diverse.
Well, we've been talking about it with music. You've got to experience it. I'm going to play a short clip from your latest song, Getting By, that really, I think, brings to life a lot of what we've been talking about. Here's a sample of that song.
Caught up in the world when it's going too fast. One thing leads to another. All you do is pay the rent and cling to the past. This way you live and makes me tired, wondering if I'll stay alive. I'm just waiting for the right time to make my move. I don't have a lot, but I'm getting by. I'm feeling like I don't know where I'll go.
You know, a buddy of mine, Billy Webb, he basically kind of pushed me out of the soft music, which is what I listened to a lot, you know, sneaking into my sister's bedroom to put the record on that portable record player.
You got it.
And then he started putting me into Deep Purple and BTO and, you know, stuff like that. So, you know, I never really, everything was circumstantial. I never really thought of anything. It just happens.
Yes. And Angie, your voice certainly influenced by some of the great female ballad singers like Ann and Nancy Wilson, Janis Joplin.
One of my favorites.
I mean, these folks. But then even Michael McDonald. I can hear that kind of Michael McDonald sound in your voice, if I could say that.
Yeah, I'll let you say that. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. I tell you, we got to go see them just this last summer, the Doobie Brothers. And
Yes.
he was there, and I think I beat Chris half to death. I just kept, was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh
Can
my
you
God.
believe it? Yeah.
You're right
Yeah.
up there, right up
Like,
front.
we were in the third row, and I'm still reeling from it. It's been a couple months ago now,
Yeah.
but oh my gosh, that guy is amazing. I admire him greatly.
Yes. So I think everybody can hear what we've been saying, first of all, about the music, sort of genre defying, but these lyrics, Angie and Chris, I can hear the personal experiences. I mean, I can literally hear people say, you say, how's it going? They say, well, I'm getting by, and then here's the story behind what I mean. Tell us a little bit about the genesis of this song.
Well, we wrote this song with one of our really close friends, Rick Schutte, and he lives
up around
Cleveland, so it's about 3 hours from us. But he and Chris have known each other for decades. Really. But one night he calls us up, and he's like, "I'm sending you guys this clip. See what you can do with it." And he was going through some hard drama with his job at the time, and he's like, it's about being broke and paying bills, and I don't know what else. But
during the pandemic,
he just had this line, and it's the main line, the guitar part of the song.
He came up with the original riff on that, and then we just kind of took it from there.
So we took a bottle of tequila and sat at the kitchen table, and there you have it. That's what happened.
Wrote all the words down. Yeah.
Well, the story is fantastic. And then, as I said, I listened to the song before I read these reviews that might have called it country, but I certainly saw a bluesy, sort of slow rock, driving rock, not easy listening. But, I heard all that in there.
Thanks. I think that's usually what I end up trying to articulate to people when they're asking me, what genre do you live in? All of them. Yes. When they say, are you country? Are you blues? Are you rock? Yes. I think we are all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of flavors,
even some inspirational. There's a song on the record that's going to touch into that realm as well. Can't wait for people to hear that one too.
Oh, fantastic. And then, as a songwriting duo, I mean, there's plenty of teams out there. Oh, I'll write some lyrics, I'll write the music. How do you guys work together to really put together the whole package?
Well, it varies. If Angie has an event that happens in her life, she'll get on the keyboard and she'll just start pounding out, and again, this thing evolves. You hear it first time and it's like, it sounds a little Celtic to me. And then as time goes on, then I'll come in and I'll lay the line down for her, which kind of brings it along. The other way we do it is I got a lot of riffs. I could do them all day long.
Crap them out
and then
on demand.
Sometimes she'll get a melody going, but a lot of times I'll sing a melody to her and how I feel the song needs to be, and then she'll just take it from there. And we tailor it from that point on.
I'd say most of the time I'm the majority of the lyrics. I'm the lyricist, if you will, and he's the music writer. We blend it both ways, and sometimes it's the complete reverse. But the majority of the time, I would say,
you're more the lyricist.
I'm the storyteller.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then obviously, then we get to the production part. And I've talked to plenty of studio engineers and executives. They don't want to just turn the knobs. What is the contribution and collaboration that you have with your studio folk?
We adore him. We met JD Harris through some friends, and
through First Flight
Recording Studio in Dayton, Ohio. And actually, it was a total fluke. Fairborn, yes. That's a burb of Dayton. Yeah. But we met Mike Stark, who's the owner of that studio, at an open mic night one time through another friend. He couldn't believe we didn't know each other, and ended up just goofing around in the studio till like 2 a.m. that night.
The first night we met Mike.
And then he introduced us to JD, who's a friend of his, and we have struck up a bond and just a close friendship too, I want to say. And I think JD would agree with that. But he is so creative and a talented musician in his own right. I mean, he's an amazing keyboardist, B3 player, has a lot of experience. Yeah.
He wanted to take one of our songs that I don't know what our intent of the song was. It wasn't on a top priority for us, but we recorded a lot of songs. We had a good year there where a lot of that stuff is shelved right now. All those recordings, as we're trying to find our own technique in the studio.
It's a different world.
Going in as a 2-piece, we thought, okay, do we have a guitar player or not? Because we play as a bass and keyboards live in a drum machine in cases, and we do fine. We feel a lot of sound out. We've learned to feel that sound out, and I do a lot more runs than usually for a bass player, but I just kind of float around her vocal. So anyway, this one particular song called Surrender, which is more of the inspirational song. He asked if he could take that and play with it. We're like, yeah, go ahead and take it.
Sure.
Man, when we heard what he did, it's like, okay, you're our producer.
Oh my God. Yeah. Beautiful.
It
Beautiful.
was.
Well, and you've been talking about playing live. How does that experience, you're doing the outdoor, you're doing the festivals, you're doing the fairs. Now you're in the sort of controlled, everything's supposed to be perfect studio. But how do you bring that emotion inside?
Well, I'll tell you how we do it. For me, we got our technique down, which is why I'm wanting to rush right in the studio and do album number 2. We got enough songs for like 9 albums. So Angie's telling me slow down.
Yeah, we may want to take it in time.
Let this album do something first. So anyway, we got it down to where Kenny Burnett, our drummer, him and I and Angie on the keyboard will lay down the basic track, and then she gives a scratch vocal, which is just as good as, the final vocal that she'll end up laying. And the main thing we're trying to get out of that is the drum mix. We're trying to make sure that drum mix is right. 90% of the time, I don't have to go in and replay my bass because it usually tracks out with the drums really good when you're real tight on that rhythm.
It's like, it is very mechanical. So when you're in the live situation, you're interacting with people and you have that connection. And so in the studio, it's a little bit, and a lot of our songs are very emotionally driven. They're experiences, they're good, hard experiences, sad experiences, happy experiences. And so you want that to come out in the song when people listen to it. So I do have to kind of get in my head and close my eyes a little bit and just kind of put myself where I was when the song was written and try to channel that emotion through the recording microphone, which isn't always easy to do. I think, because you do have to go through, like he's saying, there's these steps and here's the process of how you get a song on the track. But there's that emotional component that makes the whole song.
Time we can get up and leave. People here can't see the forest for the trees, and I know this world's gone crazy. All this fighting about what's right and what's wrong, left nor the right seem to help me get home. Said I know this world's gone crazy.
Well, Chris, you were talking about the riffs. You've got this library, this catalog, drawers full of riffs. And some of those come from just I read great stories about that was a warm-up riff in a band set. I really like that. And it's becomes Hotel California,
Yeah.
All of a sudden, but
we record everything. If we're sitting there practicing, running through some stuff, and he does this like all the time, he'll just start noodling on something and it's like, oh, I better catch that. And a lot of our stuff has come from those kinds of moments where we've just been noodling around and
we got to capture it on our phone because I can't sit back and try to reproduce that, because it's that spirit, that emotion, that moment
it's
that
like,
it hits.
And,
you can take 3 notes and write a million songs off of 3 notes. It's just how you rhythm it,
If the phone ever drowns, we're in so much trouble.
We got lots.
Yes. Well, I have a good creative friend who says that, creating it is one thing, but retrieving it, but storing it and retrieving it. Yeah. It's like finding a book in the library without the card catalog or whatever.
There's one particular song on the album, I think it's You, which was basically our very first song we wrote together. that was captured at the moment, we pretty much did it. Now it's good because a lot of these that are captured at the moment, we're writing it and we're creating it. You would think that we'd been working on it before we hit that record button, but it's just coming off right at that moment. Now trying to replicate that in a studio was a little difficult.
It was hard. Yeah. That was one of the harder ones to record.
We've had a few different versions to try to get it in different musicians to really get it down what it needs to be. And then I think it ended up morphing into something else. It's not too directly as it was originally. As a matter of fact, we did this live show and Angie and I have been doing a duo, but we put a band together to try to replicate this album. And we're still in the process of trying to get all the instruments,
all the people
and the people into this. But then when we were having practice and the guitar player, who was our original guitar player, that's not on the album except for this song.
For the song, yes.
I told Angie, I said, I think we need to redo that song and have him, everything else of the song's done. Let him do that intro and come in and between
fixed everything we didn't like.
Between JD and Brandon, they sent stems back and forth, and it made it on the album.
Fantastic.
Spending all my time thinking something isn't right. I think it's you. And the stars are not aligned, and I can't quench this fire inside. I think it's you. Not sure what to do.
Well, and thinking about these stories is very personal and very, experiential. How is that from a relationship standpoint? It's almost a peek inside your lives. Right now I'm looking into your living room, but in the songs, you're really looking into your living room. Says, we're going to expose some of this.
If you line the songs up
chronologically,
you can
our
see the whole drama.
Yeah, the good, the bad. We the relationship started out on a bad note, and we got that out completely. We're a Jerry Springer show at the beginning.
That's what we tell
them. Very nice.
We've also, so basically the way I look at it, we already got the bad out. That took place at the beginning. There's a lot of sordid story that led to that moment, but from then on, it's just the songs are every song pretty much that we write, with the exception of a couple of them, that makes me look bad, and it wasn't me that she wrote.
I think too. We had one guy, we were playing it was a showcase thing we did over in Columbus one night. And one of the guys that was playing up there with us, he turned to us and he said, it takes a lot of guts to sing that stuff. That's personal. It's like, it is. And there were times where it might've been a little bit more difficult to get through a song because it was still a little raw. But now we're good. We're good. And what I like is that, at least I have found, and I think Chris will say the same thing, is that when you look out into the audience and people are hearing that song, it's clicking with people and their whole core, their existence. There's something is triggered, like, wow. And that's the best compliment I could ever get as a songwriter or singer or anything performer, is to know that touched somebody in that kind of a way. And
we were down in Tennessee doing a show one time, and there was this kind of burly guy.
I got a marriage proposal from this guy.
Yeah, he was there with his wife. And
that'll be on the third album.
Yeah.
And he was going on saying, make me cry. Well, he cried.
I did.
He cried.
I did.
And then
I sang Merle Haggard. That's what got him. I knew what I got him.
And then he ended up yelling, "Marry me.
I'm gonna marry her."
That's fantastic.
That was great.
You guys really have a way of connecting. And, people often ask me, how do you find the guests for your podcast? Do you know these people? Well, I feel like I know you. We've known each other for 10 minutes. You must really make this connection, not only with the music, but with your personality and performing. And perhaps that can come out through the album too.
I hope it does. I feel like it does.
Every song on this album is good. And, you hear a lot of people say that, but I really, I've got several other records I've recorded over the years with different bands. And usually the way it works is I'll listen to it. You get that excitement at first. I'll put it on a shelf and it'll be years before I pick it up again. I'll listen through part of it and put it back on that shelf. I can just keep hearing this over and over and over. And I believe our best stuff's still ahead of us. It kind of goes, we fit every category for a lot of people that is into the kind of the rock and roll, slow countryish kind of stuff. The last song is a doozy. It's a different outliner. It's an outlier. So it's out there, but it's a good one. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you already have the plans for the next albums.
Oh yeah.
And let that kind of last song be the cliffhanger. It's like, I can't wait to hear where the story goes from
where
here.
Where did that come from?
Right.
Yeah.
And where's that going?
That's us. I mean, we are, sometimes, we are just kind of all over the place. We can fit into just about any pocket. I think we love all sorts of music. We love all sorts of people. I think that's something that Chris and I find ourselves, we get along with pretty much everybody. We take people as they are and meet them where they are and just kind of live in the moment. That's what we have found is the best way to go about life. I think.
The duet is more intimate, more personal, and usually the audiences stay there. We don't lose too many of them through our show.
Yeah.
Now we played the first time for a long time with the band this Saturday, and that's for bigger venues.
Felt good though.
It did feel good. Yeah. It's a whole different. Well, we had a woman come up to us and said, I like the way you guys are as a duo, but damn,
this was great. I didn't expect this.
A bigger sound, bigger feeling.
Yeah.
And so, speaking now to the listeners who say, I really want to get my music career off the ground. They're playing the local scenes, the coffee shops, the bars, but they're like you. It's like, how do I go to this next level? Play bigger venues, maybe a band, but certainly I want to get this music recorded. I want to get my story out there. What insights and inspiration from your own experience would you have for them?
Well, the first thing is we're still playing those same venues too. Just so you know, it's like that just kind of is part of it. I think we both have been wanting to do this for a very, very long time. And I think we just made the commitment. It takes a lot of investment of your time and of your money.
We had 4 years leading up to this album that we tried to do something. And it was just trying to find the personnel right. Pandemic put a big dent in a lot of things for us.
Kind of slows this down. Yeah.
Well, we had a band, and then that band pretty much kind of dissolved over the period of that. Angie and I, on the other hand, was right there elbow to elbow in Columbus. We did
our thing.
We did our thing, and we wasn't scared of it. And so we decided, okay, we're going to have to do this as a duet, and it really worked because we found out, well, one good thing is you get paid the same as the band and you only split it. It goes to her. It goes to her.
But I think the other thing too is you have to do your homework. Between the two of us, we have sat here long hours reading about intellectual property and how to protect your work and how to get your work out there, because the industry is nothing like it was back in the day when we were younger. It just isn't the same. The digital world has just changed the whole landscape. And so we got an attorney. We consulted someone who specializes in this. Is expensive as all get out, but he was worth it. And so gave us the right guidance to do certain things. And then
he protects us.
He does protect us, but that it's a tangled web and it's a little bit vicious at times, I think. So
there's a lot more to it going on in the background.
The recording is easy. That's the easy part. It's fun, but it's easy.
But it's a machine.
And man, you got to do a lot of work.
It takes all these people, all these agencies, all these things to really push it and give it a kickstart, basically.
Yes. You're right. The copywriting, the publishing, the management, the publicity, all of the above, right?
Yeah, it becomes work after the performing and the recording part. Now the real work begins.
I retired a year and a half ago, so she's doing all the work.
There you go. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, and listeners, stay tuned for future episodes, because the kind of people that Angie and Chris are mentioning, I have also reached out to. So I'll be talking with a Philadelphia lawyer on just these kind of copyright issues. Well, and even it's, spilled over into sports now. In college, athletes, can make deals and sell their likeness and image and so forth. So yeah, these are all important images. And speaking of your image, you've really begun to craft a name and an image around this duo. Tell me how that evolved.
I think the pandemic was the biggest culprit of it, or right before, actually. We had been in cover bands together for a while, and with a lot of the people that come with us when we do full band venues now. But we had some corny name back in the day that Chris despised from inception. He was digging his heels in, but we had it for a long time, and in our local area, people will still kind of call us by that. But
Angie, at the time before we got married,
my last name was Eleyet.
So that's where the Eleyet McConnell came from. And then when we got married about a year and a half ago, we didn't want to go to McConnell. Then you're like an insurance company, a bank institute, something like that. A lawyers, and so we kept that entity, which can be confusing to some people out there. Well, who's Eleyet? Like, who's Pink?
And then we sat down together and kind of came up with the little symbol that's our logo, and it's nothing fancy. It's my zodiac sign and his zodiac sign kind of blended into this neat little thing.
Very nice.
And so there we are.
We have an artist out of Queens, Rudy Ringo, that we tell him what we want, and he's pretty good about getting us everything that we need.
He's great.
Yeah.
Good. Well, and this is the website, eleyetmcconnell.com, right?
Yes.
ELEYET McConnell.
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, we'll be sure to connect. Well, Angie and Chris McConnell, what a great time we've had talking with you.
Fun.
And great conversation, and congratulations on the music.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
We hope to do this again with you.
Good to meet you.
Yeah, let's definitely stay in touch. We love to follow things and see how they develop. And listeners, come back again next time. We're going to continue our around the world journeys. We've been in Central Ohio today. We're going to continue to stamp our creative passports in places all over, talking with creative practitioners, just like Angie and Chris, on how they get inspired and tell their stories, but also the logistics of sometimes organizing the work, and of course, the confidence and the connections to launch the work out into the world. That's what it's all about. So join me next time. I'm Mark Stinson, and we'll be unlocking your world of creativity.
Thank you.
See you next time. Bye now.
Unlocking your world of creativity with best-selling author and brand innovator, Mark Stinson. This program was produced by BSB Media, creators of IntelliKey Leadership Stories, Unlocking Your World of Creativity, and thepeaceroom.love.